Some families fall apart slowly, like a house settling into its foundation. Others collapse all at once, when someone pulls the wrong thread. Mine unraveled on Thanksgiving Day, but it started 3 weeks earlier when I found myself uninvited to my own family's dinner. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing quarterly reports for the nonprofit where I worked. Subject line: Thanksgiving update, please read. It was from my brother Jake, but the tone was all wrong. Too formal. Too careful. Emma, Sophia, and I have decided to keep this year's Thanksgiving small and intimate. We think it's better if you skip this year. Nothing personal, just want to focus on our relationship.
Hope you understand. Jake.
I read it 3 times before the words actually registered. Sophia was his girlfriend of 8 months, the woman who had somehow convinced my easygoing brother that his own sister was too much of a disruption for a family holiday. I called him immediately. It went straight to voicemail. Jake, it's Emma. What the hell is this email about? Call me back.
He didn't.
I tried Mom next. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice strained. Oh, honey, I was hoping Jake would handle this better. Handle what better? Mom, what's going on? A pause. Sophia feels like you, and she got off on the wrong foot. She thinks some space might help. Space? From Thanksgiving? From our family? It's just 1 year, Emma. She's been so good for Jake. He's happier than I've seen him in years. Sometimes we have to make sacrifices for the people we love. The line went quiet. I could hear the television in the background, some cooking show Mom always watched while folding laundry. So you're choosing her over me? I said finally. I'm choosing peace, she replied. You know how you can be sometimes. Analytical. Critical. Sophia's more sensitive. I hung up. That night, I sat in my studio apartment staring at my laptop screen. I'd been working as a data analyst for Children's Haven, a nonprofit that investigated financial irregularities in youth programs. It wasn't glamorous work, but it mattered. I spent my days following paper trails, connecting dots that others missed. And right now, something about Sophia Martinez was bothering me in ways I couldn't articulate. It wasn't jealousy. I genuinely wanted Jake to be happy. But there was something off about the way she'd inserted herself into our family so completely. The way she'd convinced Mom to redecorate the guest room to match her aesthetic. The way she'd started planning family events without asking anyone else's input. The way she'd gradually isolated Jake from his friends. And now me. I opened a new browser tab and typed her name into the search bar. Social media profiles popped up immediately. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. All professionally curated, all recent. No photos older than 2 years. Her LinkedIn said she worked in nonprofit development for something called Hearts and Hands Foundation. I'd never heard of it, which was unusual given my line of work. I knew most of the major nonprofits in our state. I clicked on the foundation's website. Clean design, stock photos, generic mission statement about empowering communities through sustainable development. The kind of vague language that could mean anything or nothing. The staff page showed 5 employees, including Sophia as development director. But when I clicked on her colleagues' names, their individual bio pages were blank. Just placeholder text. I leaned back in my chair. Maybe I was overthinking this. Maybe I was just hurt and looking for problems that weren't there. But I'd learned to trust my instincts. They'd served me well at work, helping me uncover 2 significant fraud cases in the past year. And right now, those instincts were screaming. I spent the next hour digging deeper. The Hearts and Hands Foundation had been registered as a nonprofit only 18 months ago. Their tax filings showed almost no actual charitable activity, just administrative costs and staff salaries. They claimed to work in international development, but I couldn't find any evidence of actual projects. It looked like a shell organization. But for what? I was about to close my laptop when I noticed something in their financial documents. A large donation from someone named Marcus Volkov. The name sounded familiar, but I couldn't place it. I Googled him. The first result made my stomach drop. Marcus Volkov indicted on federal money laundering charges. The article was from 6 months ago. Volkov was accused of running a complex scheme involving fake charities and international money transfers. He was still awaiting trial. And he'd donated $150,000 to Sophia's foundation. I screenshot everything. The next morning, I called my contact at the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Agent Sarah Kim and I had worked together on a case involving fraudulent youth programs the year before. She was thorough, professional, and didn't waste time. "Emma," she said when she picked up. "Please tell me you're not calling about another soccer league embezzlement scandal."
"Different kind of scandal," I said.
"I think my brother's girlfriend might be involved in money laundering." A pause.
"Okay.
"I'm listening." I sent her everything I'd found. She called me back an hour later.
"This is interesting," she said.
"We've been watching some organizations connected to the Volkov case. Hearts and Hands wasn't on our radar, but it fits the pattern. Can you get me more information about this woman?" "She's managed to isolate me from my family," I said. "I don't know how much access I'll have. Then we'll have to be creative." Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. I followed Sophia when she left work, photographing the expensive car she drove despite claiming to make a non-profit salary. I researched every address associated with her name, finding luxury apartments paid for by shell companies. I even showed up at her favorite coffee shop, pretending to work on my laptop while listening to her phone calls. Most were innocuous, but one made my blood run cold. "The transfer needs to happen before the holidays," she said to whoever was on the other end. "After that, we shut everything down and start fresh somewhere else." I recorded it on my phone. Agent Kim was impressed. "We have enough for a preliminary investigation," she said. "But Emma, you need to be careful. If she's as connected as we think she is, she might have already noticed your digging." I hadn't considered that possibility. But it would explain why my calls to Jake still went unanswered. Why Mom's texts had become increasingly cold and distant. 2 days before Thanksgiving, Jake finally called me back. "Emma, we need to talk," he said without preamble. "Finally." "Jake, I've been trying to reach you for—" "Stop," he interrupted. "Stop whatever it is you're doing. Sophia told me you've been following her. Stalking her."
My heart sank.
"Jake, listen to me. She's not who you think she is. She's the woman I love. And you're so jealous and bitter that you can't stand to see me happy." "I'm not jealous. I found evidence that she's involved in—" "In what?" "Some conspiracy theory you've cooked up because you can't accept that I found someone." I could hear Sophia in the background, her voice soft and concerned, playing the victim perfectly. "Jake, please. Just look at the financial records I sent you." "I deleted that email without reading it," he said. "And if you don't stop harassing my girlfriend, I'm going to file a restraining order." The line went dead. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls from Agent Kim. "Emma, call me immediately," her voicemail said. "We need to move fast." I called her back from my kitchen, still in my pajamas. "The Volkov investigation just took a major turn," she said without preamble. "He's agreed to cooperate in exchange for a reduced sentence. He's giving us information about his network, including several shell nonprofits. Including Hearts and Hands? Among others. But here's the thing. We have credible intelligence that some of these operations are planning to liquidate assets and disappear over the holiday weekend. We need to move now." I felt a chill. Sophia mentioned something about transfers happening before the holidays. Where is she today? I thought about the family Thanksgiving I wasn't invited to. "She's at my mom's house. With my whole family." Agent Kim was quiet for a moment. "Emma, I need you to understand something. If we're right about this, your family could be in danger. These people don't leave loose ends." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we're moving in today. But I need you to stay away from your mother's house until we give you the all clear." I hung up and stared out my apartment window. Somewhere across town, my family was sitting down to dinner, completely unaware that the woman carving turkey with them might be a federal fugitive. I should have felt vindicated. I should have felt satisfied that my suspicions were being proven right. Instead, I felt terrified. The call came at 3:47 p.m. "It's done," Agent Kim said. "Sofia Martinez was arrested at your mother's house 20 minutes ago. No resistance. Your family is safe." I drove to Mom's house in a daze. Police cars lined the street, their red and blue lights reflecting off the windows of houses where other families were having normal Thanksgivings. Mom met me at the front door. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying. "Emma," she whispered, pulling me into a hug. "I'm so sorry." "I'm so sorry." Jake was sitting in the living room, staring at the carpet. He looked up when I walked in, and I saw something in his expression I'd never seen before: complete devastation. "She was using me," he said quietly. "All of it was fake. The whole relationship." I sat beside him on the couch. "Jake, I'm sorry."
He shook his head.
"You tried to warn me. You tried to warn all of us. And we treated you like you were the problem." Agent Kim appeared in the doorway, notebook in hand. "Emma, I need to brief your family on what we found." We gathered in the living room, Mom, Jake, me, and 2 FBI agents. The Thanksgiving table sat abandoned in the dining room, plates half full, the turkey growing cold. "Sofia Martinez isn't her real name," Agent Kim began. "Her real name is Sofia Petrov. She's been operating a network of fake nonprofits designed to launder money for international criminal organizations. Hearts and Hands Foundation was just one of several shell companies." Mom pressed her hand to her mouth. "How long has this been going on?" "At least 3 years. She's been moving money through fake charitable donations, then funneling it back to criminal enterprises overseas. We estimate she's laundered over $2 million. Jake looked sick. "She told me she was passionate about helping people. She showed me all these photos of communities they were supposedly helping." "Stock photos," Agent Kim said gently. "All of it was fabricated. The foundation never actually helped anyone." I thought about all the red flags I'd noticed. The professional photos with no history behind them. The vague job descriptions. The expensive lifestyle that didn't match her claimed income. How did she choose Jake?" I asked. Agent Kim consulted her notes. "We're still investigating, but it appears she specifically targeted men from stable, middle-class families. Men who were trusting and wouldn't ask too many questions about her background. Your brother fit the profile perfectly." Jake flinched. "So none of it was real. She never cared about me at all." "I'm sorry," Agent Kim said. "These people are professional manipulators. They're very good at what they do." After the agents left, we sat in stunned silence. The house felt different now, violated somehow, as if Sophia's presence had tainted something fundamental about our family space. "I should have listened to you," Mom said finally. "You saw something the rest of us missed." "I didn't want to be right," I replied. "I wanted Jake to be happy." Jake stood up abruptly. "I need some air." He walked out to the back porch. Through the window, I could see him sitting on the steps, his head in his hands. "He's going to blame himself," Mom said.
He shouldn't.
She was a professional. This is what she did for a living. Mom looked at me with new understanding. "Is this why you became so good at your job? Seeing patterns that other people miss?" I shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe growing up as the family skeptic just prepared me for this kind of work." "The family skeptic," Mom repeated. "Is that how you see yourself?" "It's how you all saw me. The one who asks too many questions. The one who can't just be happy for people." Mom's eyes filled with tears again.
"Oh, Emma.
"We made you feel like being careful was a character flaw." "Sometimes it is," I said. "Sometimes people just want you to trust them. But sometimes it saves everyone," she finished. That evening, after the police had finished processing the scene and the news crews had finally left our street, the 3 of us sat in the kitchen picking at leftover pie. None of us had much appetite, but it felt important to stay together. "What happens now?" Jake asked. "The trial will probably take months," I said. "You might have to testify." He nodded.
"Good.
"I want her to face consequences for this." "What about you?" Mom asked me. The FBI agent mentioned they might want you to consult on similar cases.
I'd been thinking about that.
Agent Kim had approached me after giving our statements, suggesting that my skills might be valuable to other financial crimes investigations. "I don't know," I said. "It's been exhausting, digging into someone's life like this. Even when they deserve it." But you're good at it, Jake said. You saw through her when the rest of us were completely fooled. I saw red flags. I didn't know what they meant until I started investigating.
Same thing, he said.
You trusted your instincts. We talked until almost midnight. Really talked, in a way we hadn't done in years. Jake told us about all the small moments that hadn't felt right, the inconsistencies in Sophia's stories that he dismissed because he wanted to believe her. Mom admitted she'd had doubts too, but had pushed them aside because she wanted Jake to be happy. We all wanted the same thing, I realized. We just had different ways of protecting each other. When I finally drove home, I felt something I hadn't experienced in weeks: belonging. For the first time since this whole ordeal began, I felt like part of my family again. But I also felt changed. The person who had started investigating Sophia out of hurt feelings and family loyalty was different from the person driving home that night. I discovered something about myself, a capacity for investigation and truth-telling that went beyond just being the family skeptic. I'd found my calling. 6 months later, I left Children's Haven to start my own financial crimes consulting firm. Agent Kim became my first official contact at the FBI, referring cases where they needed someone who could spot patterns in nonprofit fraud. Jake slowly rebuilt his life. He started therapy to process the manipulation he'd experienced. He also began volunteering with victims of financial fraud, using his experience to help others recognize the warning signs he'd missed. Mom and I grew closer than we'd been in years. She started asking for my opinion on things, not just family matters, but investment decisions, charity donations, even which contractors to hire for home repairs. She'd learned to value my careful, analytical approach rather than seeing it as negativity. Sophia, was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to money laundering and fraud charges. She cooperated with prosecutors to bring down several other members of the network. I attended her sentencing hearing. She looked different in prison orange, smaller, younger, more vulnerable than the polished woman who had fooled my family. When she saw me in the gallery, she nodded slightly. Not an apology exactly, but an acknowledgement. During her allocution, she spoke about the pressures that had led her into criminal activity, about feeling trapped in a world where she had to constantly lie and manipulate to survive, about losing track of who she really was underneath all the false identities. I found myself feeling sorry for her, despite everything she'd done. She was a criminal, but she was also a person who had gotten lost somewhere along the way. After the hearing, Jake and I walked out of the courthouse together. "Do you forgive her?" he asked. I thought about it. I forgive the person she might have been, underneath all the lies. But I can't forgive what she did to you, to our family. She didn't just lie to me about who she was, he said. She made me doubt my own judgment. She made me question my relationships with the people who actually loved me. That's the worst part of this kind of manipulation, I said. It doesn't just hurt the direct victims. It damages their ability to trust anyone. We stood on the courthouse steps, watching people hurry past us. Normal people living normal lives, most of whom would never have to worry about the kind of elaborate deception we'd experienced. "I'm proud of you," Jake said suddenly. "For what?" "For not giving up. For keeping digging even when we all turned against you. For saving us from something we were too blind to see coming." I thought about those lonely weeks when my own family had shut me out, when I'd questioned my own judgment and wondered if I really was just a paranoid, bitter person who couldn't stand to see others happy. I almost did give up, I admitted. There were moments when I thought maybe you were all right. Maybe I was just looking for problems that weren't there. But you didn't stop.
No.
I couldn't. Something kept nagging at me. We walked to our cars in comfortable silence. As I drove home, I thought about all the cases I'd worked on since then. The fake veterans charities, the embezzled school funds, the elder care facilities that existed only on paper. Each investigation had taught me something new about human nature, both its capacity for deception and its resilience in the face of betrayal. I'd learned that families could survive almost anything if they were willing to acknowledge their mistakes and rebuild trust. I'd learned that being skeptical wasn't the same as being cynical. And I'd learned that sometimes the person asking uncomfortable questions isn't the problem, they're the solution. Most importantly, I'd learned that my voice mattered. That my perspective, my instincts, my willingness to dig deeper when something didn't feel right, these weren't character flaws to be apologized for. They were gifts to be valued and used wisely. Last Thanksgiving, we gathered again at Mom's house. Just the three of us, plus Daniel, a friend of Jake's from his therapy group who had become something more. We cooked together, argued good-naturedly about football games, and shared stories that made us laugh until our sides hurt. As we sat around the table, holding hands for Mom's traditional pre-meal gratitude circle, I looked at each of their faces. My brother, stronger and more self-aware than he'd been before his ordeal. My mother, who had learned to appreciate different kinds of strength. Daniel, who brought kindness and stability to our sometimes chaotic family dynamic. I'm grateful, I said when it was my turn, for a family that can survive the truth, even when it's painful. I'm grateful, Jake said, for a sister who refuses to let sleeping dogs lie, even when everyone wishes she would. Mom squeezed our hands. I'm grateful for learning that love sometimes means being uncomfortable. That protecting each other doesn't always mean making things easy. After dinner, as we were cleaning up, Jake pulled me aside. I have some news, he said. Daniel and I have been talking about moving in together. I smiled. That's wonderful. I wanted to make sure you approved of him first, he said. You know, professional consultation. I laughed. Jake, you don't need my permission to be happy. No, he said seriously. But I need to know that you trust my judgment. That I've learned from what happened with Sophia. I looked through the kitchen window, where Daniel was helping Mom wrap leftovers. He was patient with her questions, gentle when she got flustered trying to remember which containers had tight-fitting lids. He listened when she told the same story about Dad that she'd told 3 times already that day. I trust you, I said. And more importantly, I trust that you'll listen if I ever have concerns. That's all any of us can do, stay open to each other, even when it's uncomfortable. Jake hugged me. Thank you. For everything. Later that night, as I drove back to my own apartment, I reflected on how much had changed in 2 years. Not just the external things, the new career, the stronger family bonds, the sense of purpose I'd found in fighting financial fraud. But the internal changes too. I no longer apologized for asking hard questions. I no longer felt guilty for trusting my instincts when something seemed off. I'd learned that being the person who speaks up doesn't make you difficult, it makes you necessary. And I'd learned that sometimes the greatest gift you can give your family isn't making them comfortable. Sometimes it's making sure they're safe, even when they don't want to be saved. My phone buzzed with a text from Agent Kim. New case came in. Fake medical charity targeting cancer patients. Interested? I didn't hesitate. Send me everything. Because this was who I was now, the person who looks closer when everyone else looks away. The person who asks the uncomfortable questions. The person who refuses to let good people be taken advantage of by those who would exploit their trust and generosity. It wasn't always easy work. It wasn't always appreciated. But it was necessary. And it was mine.